ratzon yilfanecha, shetishara, shechinatecha beinenu. May it be your will for your presence to reside among us.
We thank you for sharing your sacred memories with us. We will guard your words through our actions. We will remember your stories with sanctity. May your story bring us strength and link us to the stories of our Jewish past, present, and future. We will remember your story and make it our own and pass it down from generation to generation.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu et hamelech Marianne, lavo velesaper lanu et hazikronot. Hazikaron shelach achshav hu gam zikaron shelanu. Achshav anachnu tzrichim lishmor bezachor ledorot haba.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, who brought us the messenger of Marianne to come and tell us her story. Your story is now our story. Our sacred task is to guard and remember your story for future generations. Hi, I'm Sam, and I'm going to be asking you questions about before the war.
Okay.
Where and when were you born?
I was born on January 27, 1936, in Budapest, Hungary.
Can you describe your house you lived in before the war?
It was a 3-story apartment building. I lived on the first floor. It had 2 bedrooms, kitchen, bathroom.
Where was the apartment building? Like, what area was it located in?
It's in the 8th district.
Can you just, how religious was your family growing up?
We were not religious, but we did keep the high holidays, and I went to school, and until the Russians, no, that's you're asking before the war. Yes.
What was your dad's job?
He was a taxi driver.
Did your mom work?
My mom had a small delicatessen store.
What was your relationship like with your sister before the war?
We just played together, nothing special.
Was she older or younger than you?
Older.
She was older.
Older.
How much older?
2 years.
You mentioned that you had a nanny. Can you explain what your relationship was with her?
The nanny was from Austria, and she lived with us, and she taught us German. That was very important. In Hungary, most of the Jews spoke German, not Jewish. And she took care of us. She taught us the manners, how to act, how to talk to people. That's about all.
What type of school did you attend? Was it Jewish school or?
I didn't go to Jewish school, but I had religion classes every Friday, and they took us to the synagogue, and we stayed there for the Friday night prayers. I did that until the communists came into the country, which is later, and then I stopped going.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you couldn't.
Jews at the school?
The Jews, yes.
There were many Jews
very
at the
few,
school with
very
you?
few.
Okay.
We were like 36 in a classroom, and there were maybe 5, 6, 7.
Were you friends with all the Jews?
Sorry?
Were you friends with all the Jewish kids at the school?
Yes, yes. But we all lived in a different area, so we didn't really get together after the school.
When was the first time you experienced anti-Semitism?
I would say in 1944.
Can you describe the experience?
Some parents didn't like their children play with us or talk to us. But in the building, people knew that we are Jewish, and really nobody minded.
What was it like in school after anti-Semitism began?
But that was already after the war.
Okay. Did you see any propaganda against Jews?
I mean, via the war, you mean? We had to wear a Jewish star. We couldn't go out only certain times of the day, like early morning and late afternoon. We couldn't go to school.
How old were you at this point?
8.
Did your parents try to explain what was happening? Did it make sense?
No. It was, somehow or other, it was clear to us what goes on.
Overall, did you believe your childhood was a really joyful childhood?
Before the war, yes. While While the war, no. And after the war, it wasn't very good because of the Communist Party didn't allow certain things or wanted things which we didn't want to do. But it was pleasant. It wasn't really that bad, besides the war.
What was your family's point of view on Hitler when he rose to power?
There wasn't much talked about Hitler. My mother was in Auschwitz. She was the only one in my family who was in Auschwitz. And I mean, it wasn't, the name Hitler wasn't mentioned in my daily life.
So when's the first time you learned about who Hitler was?
I mean, I knew when my mother was taken away from Budapest to a concentration camp, I knew that Hitler has to do something with it. But me as an 8-year-old, I don't think I understood really what was going on with Hitler.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sam. When your mother was taken away, did you know she was going to a concentration camp?
No, my mother was taken away much before the other Jewish people were taken away, because we were supposed to change apartments to the building where Jewish people were able to live. And the person who wanted to change apartments with us got scared that my mother asked her to wait one day so we can visit my father in the work camp, and we change apartments next day. And she just sent out the Hungarian police and they just took her. And we found out in which building they took her, and we found out that's the building where they will take all the other Jews and take them to the concentration camp. We were actually there at the building, seeing her up on the second floor.
Hi, I'm Courtney, and I will be asking you questions about during the war. Since you were only 8 years old and your sister was 10 when the war broke out, do you think that your sister took a mother-like role?
No, I was more braver than she was.
Because you were so young when the war started, do you think that you matured more quickly than others? How did being so young affect your experience during the war?
It was all over the time that the war was going on. It was just finding places where to be, finding food. It wasn't really anything else. This is what our life was occupied with, taking care of ourselves, where to go, what to do, which side of the street to walk, because it was just two of us.
How did you feel when your mother was deported? How and why did you and your sister not get deported with her?
Because she wasn't deported when all the others were. She was just singled out, so we were not deported. And from Hungary, they didn't deport many children. Hungary was the last country that they took Jewish people to the concentration camp.
So you said that your mother was taken to Auschwitz. Do you know what it was like for her there?
Later out, when she came back, I found out it was very hard for her, but somehow she was able to get work in the kitchen. Therefore, it was much easier than for so many more people.
Can you please describe what life was like living with your grandparents?
My grandfather was very religious. She prayed every morning. My grandmother wasn't that religious. And we just played with other kids in the building. Nothing much I remember.
What was their financial situation?
I'm sure we had enough money to buy food if there was food available, but otherwise we didn't get new clothing or shoes or anything.
Do you know how your grandparents were not taken away?
My grandfather stayed in Hungary, in Budapest, and they were all taken to the area where only Jewish people lived. That's the ghetto, it's called ghetto. And he was going out from that building to take a walk, and a Hungarian soldier asked him, "Why are you out? You're not supposed to be out this time of the day." And he said, "My favorite daughter, who was my mother, was taken away to the camps, and life doesn't matter to me." And they shot him there on the street. My grandmother wasn't taken away, and I don't remember why she wasn't. And I don't know what really happened to her because we got separated.
How long did you have to roam the streets with your sister?
From maybe June, July until next year, January.
How did you get away with not wearing a Jewish star on your clothing, especially since you were outside most of the day?
We were not always outside. We found an empty apartment and we were able to stay in there. But when we went out, we both spoke perfect German, and that just gave us freedom almost to do anything we want. And we had a story going with it where my father is, my mother is, and people just believed it.
Where did you learn German?
The lady who was from Austria, the one who stayed with us.
How hard was it for you not knowing where your next meal would be?
It was just not possible to know. At times we had salt and onion. That's what I remember. That's what we had. That's what we found in the empty apartment we went to.
How did you keep your hopes up during the war?
I don't think we realized that there is hope or anything for the future. We just, every day was something else.
You said that you had onion and salt and that lasted you for a short time.
Yes.
Can you describe all of the food that you were able to obtain throughout the war?
Don't remember any food except the onion and the salt. And one time, 2 men came into the apartment where we were. Somehow they knew it's us and they can come in. And they had bean and they cooked the beans and we ate the liquid of the food as a soup and the bean as a main course. That's my only memory of food.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Was it common in your experience that people helped each other? If someone had some beans, they would share it, or people,
No.
people didn't share?
These were just 2 people. No, you were not with people to share. In the ghetto, there was simply no food, and we weren't in the ghetto. But no, nobody shared. Nothing. No. Everybody was taking care of themselves. But I was not among Jewish people.
When you were with your grandparents and you went to get food, where would you get food from?
There was a free market.
Oh, there were
and
still markets.
Yes. Not for us,
Not
but
for
on
you.
a certain time of the day we were able to go and get the food.
Okay,
And that was always the time when everybody else bought up everything else.
gotcha. Now for someone far more interesting than me.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I'll be asking you some questions about during the war. Since you said that you didn't think there was any future left, what kept you going during the time during the war when you were hiding?
As children, we were just doing whatever we did. I mean, it wasn't a thought of what keeps us going. We just existed. I think that's what it was.
What did you think was happening to your mom while she was being taken away?
Had no idea. No news came to Budapest what's going on in the concentration camps. We had no idea what a concentration camp is and what goes on there. So we knew nothing about her.
You hadn't heard about it before?
No, not until she came home in 1945 May, I think. We heard nothing of her.
While the 2 men were staying with you in your cellar, did you get along with them? Did you keep in touch with them after the war?
With whom?
With the 2 men that were staying in the cellar with you?
The people we were hiding in the cellar, and we didn't keep up with anybody. We were totally on our own, and they were totally on their own.
When the manager of the building caught you in the cellar once, how did you have the chance to escape? What did you do? What was your experience?
That was at night. It was at night, and we knew that the sun only comes next day in the morning, and we just left the building. We came up from the cellar, went up to the apartment, and got our coat, I suppose, or didn't, I don't remember, and just left. And then we were on the street, just walking.
Were you ever approached by anyone who offered to help you by hiding you or giving you food?
We were not approached, but my father somehow or other found 2 Christian families who took us in, but not together, separately. So we got separated from my sister, and and those two people helped us. And then that was like already in December sometime, so very much at the end.
Was it hard for you being away from your sister?
It was very hard, but it was unknown to me what the next day brings.
You said that you roamed the streets during the nights. What did you do during the days?
During the days we did the same thing until we would find an empty apartment and hide in it.
I read in your bio that you were once caught and kept in a horse barn for 24 hours. What was it like for you there?
It was very, very, very scary, because we never were caught before, and there were very many people, and we had no idea what next day brings. And then suddenly came morning, and they let us go. I never found out why they took us.
Who caught you?
Hungarian soldiers.
Oh, the soldiers.
Yes.
But the horse barn, it's not a jail, it's not...
It was an open like a stadion,
Okay.
Yeah. No, very, very strange place. Never been there before.
Okay. Never went back, I assume.
Never went back. But I know where it is.
Yeah,
I knew
okay.
where it is.
You said that you asked a German soldier to for him to help you cross the street. How did you have the courage to do that?
The reason we did that, because the lady who took care of us, the one from Austria, took us taking walks in the city, and that was in the city when we had to cross the street, and we were afraid that somebody might recognize us. And we talked to him in German, and he took my sister's hand and my hand and just took us to the other side of the street and said bye.
During the war, did you think that you would ever see your parents again or anybody that you knew?
Didn't have any thought of that. Didn't have any thought of it. We knew nothing about our parents. And it wasn't like that, yes, we know they are there and they will be back or not be back. They were just lost to us.
Do you think that being with your sister helped you have courage and confidence to continue to go on and have hope?
I mean, at that time we were already separated, so it wasn't even a question of talking to each other about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think in those days everybody was out for themselves. I don't think there was time or willingness to care about anybody. You had to take care of yourself to save yourself.
What was it like staying with the woman that hid you for a while during December?
I don't have much memory of how it was, but I knew that she's taking a very big risk, taking me in, and I very much appreciated it. But we were always in the cellar with her, never in the apartment.
Did she bring you food? Did she?
She took me in like their own, like their child. So whatever they ate, they gave us food. Yes, this was all in an exchange of money. But how much my father gave them, or how he actually got them, and they were willing to take care of us because it was a very big risk for them to take us. So we had food, yes. Whatever food they had, I had.
Was it just the woman, or did she have family?
I think this woman had a how do you say it? Not a husband, the one before husband.
Fiance?
Fiance. Had a Jewish fiance.
A Jewish one?
The woman had a Jewish fiance, so maybe that's the reason she took us in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So when you said that everyone was on their own, did
I
you
think
feel that the community itself, both the Jewish community and the
There was no
surrounding...
Jewish community.
No?
It just didn't exist, and or you didn't get there because you didn't want to be there. If you were there already, you were in a very bad place.
Even when you were a child, prior to the war?
Prior to the war, no. Prior to the war, fine. Yes,
Yes.
sure,
But-
sure.
So the Jewish community prior to the war just completely dispersed and there was no connection?
After when the war started, yes.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
sure.
Yes.
They were already taken away or hiding somewhere. Many people had places where they could hide. We didn't. And many people changed their religion. There was a time when you were able to go to the church, pay money, and change your religion. And my father, who was not religious at all, she said, no, we stay Jewish.
Do you know anything about the Budapest Jewish community prior to World War II? How many Jews there were?
No, no. I could have looked it up if I would have known
Sure,
you asked.
okay. I can look it up too then.
No, I don't know. I no idea. No idea.
I know you mentioned when your mother came back from Auschwitz.
Yes.
Did she talk to you right away about the experience, or did it take her time to come to talk about it?
She didn't talk about it at all, but she was willing to answer any question.
Interesting.
I don't think she just came up and talked about it. No, no. And by then, my aunts, 3 of my aunts, were also taken to Auschwitz. They were more talkative. They were saying they ate raw potatoes and this and this. My mother wasn't. No.
I'm gonna set up before you start.
Okay.
Ron, come up here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Marianne, I have another question. Why are you all the time in the cellars? Why were you all the
Because
time?
they were bombing all the time.
Can you give us like an idea? What would but this is so removed from us. What was happening? How
I
did
mean, they were
streets-
bombing
How did streets look like? How did?
the street.
Yeah.
I mean, the streets were most of the time empty. People just stayed in the cellar because that was the only place where the bomb didn't hit. I was coming up one time from the cellar to the bathroom, and they had only outside bathrooms. And I was beginning of the let's say the yard, beginning of the yard, and passing in the middle, going to the other side to the bathroom, and that's when a bomb hit.
Oh.
So I missed it like a millisecond. But the streets were mostly empty. It was definitely empty from the Jewish people because they weren't allowed to be out. But it was a war.
So
Buildings were coming down on you, I mean.
So it's the Hungarians who were also hiding, who were the Hungarian people?
No, the Hungarians were in the cellar because of the bombing.
Right, okay.
The Jewish people were hiding there if they were able to hide.
Ah. Thank you.
I'm Aiden, and I'm going to be asking you questions about liberation after the war and life today. Could you please describe what liberation was like for you in Hungary?
My father found out where these 2 women lived who hid us and went from basement to basement, cellar from cellar, looking for us. And he found my sister. And my sister told my father where I am, and then they came and picked me up. And my father had some Gentile friends who said that we can go and live with them. And we were going, it was like maybe 20, 30 miles away, and dead horses on the street. And we just walked on them, through them, and went to live with my father's friends.
Do you remember how you felt when you were liberated? Like, were you happy,
Very
nervous?
happy, and very happy that we know that my father is with us. And somebody will take care of us.
Yeah, you felt safe. Yeah. When did you come to America, and with who and how?
I came to the United States in 1957, April. I came with my husband. I was married by then. And a cousin who lived in New York signed for us that we can stay in New York. Otherwise, we would have been sent to Shreveport, Louisiana. And my husband, who spoke very good English, found out that in Shreveport, Louisiana, we would be almost the only Jews. So my cousin signed for us, and we stayed in New York.
Can you tell me about some of the hardships you went through when you came to America?
I didn't speak a word of English. Therefore, I couldn't find a job, but I knew I was a shorthand typist. But true, because my husband spoke English, it wasn't very hard for me.
So the way you were able to afford food and a home was by, you were a typist and your husband, what
He
did
was
do?
I forgot, engineer.
Oh, an engineer, okay.
What did you do between 45 and 57?
I went to school. I went to school in Hungary, in Budapest. Then under the communists, you could go to school. That was the biggest thing, to send you to school. There was no religion classes. I went to school. I went to school until age 17, when I found out that I couldn't go to college because my mother used to have a store, and that made her rich. And so we went to school, and then in 1954 I got married.
And how was it to adjust to life between being on your own for so many months to, again, with a father?
No, I don't recall that it was any different. It was once we took care of ourselves, or somebody took care of us, and then my father and my mother took care of us. I don't think that.
So she came also?
She came home in May of 1945. My mother came back.
You said that you were in school after the war.
Yes.
Was it like happy for the entire time?
It was nice. It was not hard,
Okay.
hard.
Have you ever been back to Budapest, into the apartments and cellars where you were hiding?
No, not where I was hiding, but I was back many times.
Yeah.
But not where I was hiding.
Were they joyful trips, or were they?
It was nice
remembering?
trips. All
Yeah.
my family still lives in Hungary.
Sorry. Now, for questions about today, are you frustrated with Europeans or people around you that were bystanders and did nothing to help you?
No.
No. Have you encountered anyone who does not believe your story or that the Holocaust did not happen?
I never talked about my story.
And why is that?
Nobody ever asked me.
You mentioned that because you had a sparse supply of food, you still have a hard time trashing any today. What else is hard for you to do nowadays because of what happened in the war?
I don't trash any food. I feel very bad for the people who had to go through the concentration camp.
Mm-hmm.
My father's family, 75% of them died in the concentration camp. And I forgot what you asked.
Is it hard for you to anything today is because, okay, I'm gonna say it again. You mentioned that because you had a sparse supply of food, you still have a hard time trashing any today. What else is hard for you to do nowadays because of what happened in the war? Nothing.
No, nothing maybe.
When I understand that you do not trash food, but when you see other people, if you're eating with someone and they're gonna throw away something, do you ever say something?
I'm very angry, and I don't think I say anything, but I'm very upset.
Nowadays, what is your relationship like with God and Judaism?
I'm keeping order, high holidays. I go to the synagogue on the high holidays. I have my whole family at Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Passover in my house. And I have a great-granddaughter who gets all the Jewish books from PJ. I forgot PJ something.
Yes,
something,
library.
and we read together. And I'm just very, very proud that I'm Jewish.
What languages do you speak?
In a house?
How many languages do you know?
Oh, I mean, I remember German not quite well, and I speak Hungarian and English, as well as I speak English.
Do you have any advice for our generation today?
Regarding
Life, anything. On maybe being Jewish, on being proud.
Like what advice?
Yes.
Like what they are hearing your story. What do you want them to
Carry on.
carry on or continue doing or after hearing your story?
1 second, I have to think.
Okay.
Okay.
Just being proud to be Jewish, taking. No. I didn't think about this question.
Okay.
I don't know what to say.
It's okay.
Just
Thank you
doesn't
very
come.
much. It's okay.
Sure.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
A few more questions. When did you start telling your story?
Telling my story?
Today.
Never did.
Today's the first time.
Like, I know, but your children, did you tell
My
your
children, I have a friend in Canada, and she always tells me that her children, she has 3, I have 2, that her children always ask about the war. And I tell her, my children never do.
Your daughter is here.
Yes.
When
Yes.
did you hear the story?
Heard bits and pieces,
Bits and
but the
pieces.
truth is it just makes me so sad to hear it that I really never asked too many questions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's,
It does never came up, never came up. I would love to talk about it, but nobody ever asked me until you asked me.
well, I think it's, Deborah, hi. She told me, and then I contacted you, but this is so great that you came. How does it feel to be here in where we ask you
Very
questions?
warm feeling.
It's okay? They were great, weren't they?
appreciate it.
They
Yes,
had-
very good questions.
Yeah,
Too
maybe-
good for me, too good
Oh.
questions, too good.
So I just wondered,
Maybe more
how did
questions.
your father survive? How did your father survive?
My father was in a work camp, and people from the work camp were not sent to the concentration camp, and he just
In Hungary.
in Hungary. Before the war, my father was sent to Russia, and he was in Russia also in a work camp. But when the war was already in Budapest, Hungary, then he was back in Budapest, Hungary.
And he was able from that work camp to arrange for you girls?
Somehow or other, because he was a taxi driver and then he was a truck driver, he was able to wiggle himself or find people with whom he would send messages to. Without being a driver, probably who couldn't have.
What about you and your sister, since you were so together?
We had totally different friends after the war, and he turned out to be very much on the Communist Party side, where I wasn't. So not much common. We didn't have too much common. Even today, he's still on the communist side and I'm not.
What's the,
Yeah, please ask.
Did your parents share with you their experiences
No.
of what it was?
No, but if I asked, they would answer. But from by themselves, no.
But when you asked them,
They would tell, yes.
I think I was just going to make a comment. I know someone else whose mother was in hiding, and she didn't consider her mother a survivor. And I said, no, your mother's absolutely a survivor. I mean, do you feel like you're a survivor?
Never called myself that, but I suppose I am.
Yeah. So I mean, that maybe you asked, like, have you ever told your story? I wonder if, like, the Shoah Foundation really, they don't realize how many other people were in hiding. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It wasn't a question where you could go sign a piece of paper and tell them that I was. No,
Yeah.
nothing like that.
Just for our purposes,
Yeah.
the way we use the terminology that is used by the Holocaust Museum in Washington by their guidelines. A Holocaust survivor is a person who lived in Europe between 1939 and 1945. So wherever you were in Europe, whether it's in England or
You survived.
in Auschwitz,
Yeah.
and you lived in those periods of time, then
Only the years were very different because it all started in Poland back in 1939, and in Hungary it was maybe 6-7 months before the war ended.
right, but I think you wrote it so beautifully that out of 400,000 people, what is the number?
Yes, 80%.
80%
Yes, 80%.
in
a
7
very
months.
fast. It was
In
yes.
7 months,
It was the fastest.
right. So the trains that moved from Hungary into Auschwitz were like bullet trains. They were, that's why, think about this, 400,000 85%
in such a
7
short
months.
time. In such a
So
short
that
time.
this is an amazing, amazing story that you survived. I can't imagine this, 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. And her parents came back.
Yes.
It's a miracle.
I was very lucky, yes.
A miracle.
Many parents didn't come back.
Is there, I have one question. When you visit Hungary today and your family is there, what is the community like today in Hungary?
I mean, right now, it's very hard. It's according to the internet. Jewish people can do anything. They can go to the synagogue. They can do anything. According to the news, what comes besides the internet, there are the fascists who still exist, go out and walk streets, and wear the swastika, but nothing happens to them. So it's not a place I would like to live, but my sister says she has no problem.
The only Jewish sleepaway camp now is in Hungary. And all the Jews from Europe in Europe.
I didn't understand.
Say it again.
There's a Jewish sleepover camp
Ah,
in Hungary.
really?
It's the only one in Europe.
A sleepover camp?
Yes, for children.
Like for children.
To play.
Summer camp, yes, summer camp.
I don't know.
We would like to invite our students to come one more time. And I would like.
Am I still sitting?
Yes, please.
Or getting up?
For a few minutes.
I like to get up.
Let me help you. This is also a survivor Torah. It was saved from Czechoslovakia, and we would like to let
I can
you
get
know
up?
that- No, you can sit
I
down.
can sit down.
Or stand up.
Whatever
can
you
stand up.
want.
You can stand up, sure.
I lost whatever I lost.
Are we okay? Yes, so I think from a survivor to a survivor, and they would like to read to you.
We thank you so much for honoring us with your presence here today. You have given us your words, your heart, and your soul. Your story is now our story.
Now it is our turn to do what Jews have done for centuries. It is now up to us to tell our story to our children, so that they may keep it alive for generations to come.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to fulfill this amazing mitzvah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehagid b'vanenu et siparenu.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who made us holy with mitzvot and commanded us to tell our children our story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for the answers I couldn't answer. The questions I couldn't answer.
Please stand behind, okay, behind me.